I welcome you all to our panel about the book market in the Arab world. This panel was developed in cooperation between the Goethe-Institut and Litrix.de. Litrix is a website available in German, English, and Arabic that showcases new German language publications from the fields of fiction, non-fiction, and books for children and young adults, selected on a regular basis by panels of experts. In association with this, Litrix also offers a translation grant program that is geared for several years at a time to a language chosen for special focus. Between 2015 and 2017, this special focus is on the Arab world, and this is precisely why we brought together 3 experts today on this panel from Egypt, Jordan, and Lebanon to talk about the book market in the Arab world. Karam, let's start with you. Kotob is not just a publishing house and a bookstore, but also functions as a cultural center, as I just said. Can you tell us a bit about the different activities that you organize? And I think, if it works, we will see some pictures. Yes, there it is, from Kotob in Maadi in Cairo. You have, yes.
Yeah, thanks for coming and thanks for being here. I'm Karam Youssef from Kotob. I started almost 10 years ago, and we've been trying since then through a different module. In addition to act as a bookshop where we have very selective books under one roof, where we have books in English, Arabic, of course, French, and German. And it's not only for easy readers. I call myself that we are a bookshop where you can find books for serious readers. It's a bookshop and a publishing house, but I took it easy on publishing books to touch base with the market in Egypt, because we work in a different environment. So we started with creative writing workshops where we invite young, talented writers to be girls and boys to come and be enrolled in creative writing workshops. We start with short stories headed by Yasser Abdul, well-established poet, translator, and author. And we published the first book by Kotob. The main goal is to emerge new authors to go along in parallel with the well-established or the mainstream writers. It happens each year now, and it has a good reputation and integrity, and we do it for free. And also, all activities we do for free. We do movie screening each Friday. We have a movie at 7 o'clock p.m. Also for free. It's the supervisor of that program is Ahmed Abu Zaid. He's a film director and a script writer. Also, we do book discussion. Each month we pick a book and where the author is alive, so we can meet him at the end of the month and we have discussion with him, where the authors have a real opportunity to meet with the readers. Also, we do poetry on a yearly basis, and I'm planning to have it on a monthly basis next year. It's a big event. It happens worldwide. The last Saturday of each September, it's called 100,000 Poets for a Change. We do it this year, last September, we did it for the 5th time. So we do also music concert, acoustic music for young talented Egyptians. Also, we work as a venue. If there is a culture group, young people, you want to come and use the venue to discuss a book or discuss anything, we welcome them. Also, after the revolution in 2011, we also opened the venue for sort of to enhance the information about the importance of election, to be part of the election, and also the importance of having a state of law.
Thank you, Karam. It's really a cultural center. Yes, more than even a bookshop, it seems. But I hope we can hear a bit more about it in a while. Valentina, I read on your website that the mission of the AbdulHameed Showman Foundation is to invest in cultural and social innovation to positively impact the communities you serve through thought leadership, arts and literature, innovation and employment. Can you explain a little bit more detail how your work at the foundation looks like, and what activities you do? And I think we also can see some pictures here.
The AbdulHameed Shoman Foundation was founded in 1978, 37 years ago, by the Arab Bank and funded by the Arab Bank. As you mentioned, it aims to invest in cultural innovation. It started with an award for Arab scientists, and then it evolved into different cultural activities. We have the largest public library that is operated by a private entity. Plus, we have a cultural forum where every week we hold a discussion, whether it's a book discussion or a topic. We host thought leaders from Jordan and the Arab region. We also host discussions about political issues or economic issues. So it could be diverse, whether it's science or economics or cultural, all topics. We have screenings for films every week, and we also have film weeks. Arab films and international films. We also have, we discuss the films after every screening, and we host the producers or the directors. We also host musical evenings once a month to promote young artists. We also have the children's library, where we also work on promoting culture with children.
Is this the children's library?
Yes, this is the children's library. We have book signings, book readings, book discussions. We have storytelling. We enact even the books, and we have film festivals. Plus, we support all cultural activities in Jordan. So if there's a book fair, we support that. If there's used books fairs, plays, theater. Any initiatives that come to us that is related to culture, we fund that. And we also even fund activities with the ministry, the government, Ministry of Culture, because we know how difficult or culture is barely funded and always put at the lower end when it comes to government funding. And we try to have activities not just inside our premises, but also taking it to the streets. So we have cultural weeks in different streets and different areas where they don't have enough support and services. We help establish libraries, we help establish cultural centers. So
we can see here, I think this is on the streets, a book. What exactly is that?
This is a street library where we promote people to exchange books. So if you have a book, you can leave the book there. Anyone who is interested in that book or they have extra books, they can put the book there. And we also we support the library, like we add books to it to encourage people to exchange books. It's expensive to buy books, so we try to have this drive where people are encouraged to exchange books. We try to support access for books and education. We also have prizes, as I mentioned, for scientific research, for children's literature, plus we're working on additional prizes for children creativity and other awards for children.
Rania, I mean, you write that your work has been tailored to help young Arab readers to build a new understanding of their own childhood by focusing on their own inner worlds. And by providing a simplified explanation for these worlds, which allows them to have a better notion of the vast changes occurring all around them. Can you explain a bit in detail how you mean that and how you do that exactly with your work?
Well, first of all, I'd like to...
I think we see also some pictures you sent us.
Yes, this is from the a Palestinian camp in Beirut, and also the Syrian refugees also has been merged. We created a reading space in this. This is the entrance to the cultural center in the camp. So just for you to imagine that sometimes it's not We are not located in beautiful cultural centers and beautiful school libraries or public libraries. Sometimes it's actually most of the time we face the fact that we need to mobilize in areas and create literary impact there, and this is one of them. This is another shelter school in the north of Lebanon, and these are also Syrian refugees. As you're aware, Lebanon hosts 1 million Syrian refugees. So we went and we did reading experiences with them. We tried to create a kind of normalcy, because these kids have been outside the classroom, a normal classroom, for more than 4 years now. It's just now that the government had opened registration for Syrian refugees to be in the schools. So this is also in a shelter school in the north of Lebanon. And I just want to make something clear. You mentioned that I'm a book publisher and writer. Actually, I don't see myself as that. It is a very technical description of what I do, technical and sometimes boring and unfair, because I think that I like to introduce myself, and I view myself as an owner of an interdependent playhouse that uses books as a tool to create movement, and this movement would create eventually magic. And the people who work in this playhouse / publishing house, myself and my colleagues, I view them as, action figure, like Superman and Wonder Woman. I call them bookman and bookwoman. So just refer to me as bookwoman. And what we do is not really publish books or distribute them, or even publishing alternative books. This is not important really. What is important is engaging ourselves, first of all, and the readers in adventures. We want them we want to create reading experiences and reading adventures. We are not funded by any bank and by any government. Actually, we try to avoid them as much as we can. Our main goal, and I know that the word goal is very fashionable these days, is really, again, I tell you, not to create books, regardless of how good or bad these books are, but to fabricate readers. They're there, but I think they lost the way between them and the book, and we want to help ourselves and them find that way. They lost the road. So we want to fabricate readers, find them, connect with them, and dream large, very, very large with them, so that we really can change the Arab world. I cannot see any other tool for change except books, be it electronic or paper, virtual, non-virtual, you call it, but I find no way out except books.
Yes, that's. I think you're very right, and I think we will talk about this even more. But touching on this, I mean, you said you want to reach them, and you also say that your work aims to develop the Arab child's artistic and social awareness. But really, the question is, how do you reach these children? I mean, how do you attract new readers in the first place, especially the young ones? Because I don't think that the Arab world has such an intense reading culture. It's something that I think you have to really, strive to make them read. How do you reach your children? How do you reach these children you want to, create these adventures in their head?
First of all, technically, you have to have a book, and a sexy book. You know what I mean? Once you do that, we go out, we mobilize, we go out to look for these children in play areas. We go do readings there. In schools, private and public, we go do there. We go read there, or do any activities that rotates around the book. In shelters, we're there. We go to them. We don't wait for them to come to us. We never wait. We just go. We move. This is something. And I think that, you know, with my experience with kids, and especially underprivileged ones, because for the last 3 years we've been heavily involved with marginalized and underprivileged ones, be it refugees or Lebanese or any other nationality, regardless. For example, let me give a very concrete example. If I'm reading for 20 kids, you know, I'm reading a book, in my back of my mind and my heart, I say, if I could save only 2 kids out of these 18 kids of joining ISIS or joining any other terrorist group by just inspiring them and showing them books and knowledge and education can be fun, can be contemporary, can talk to their hearts and to their mind, I think I would have succeeded in making the Arab world better.
What are the reactions that you receive from these kids that you go to?
I wish I had the research tools that and figures and numbers that I can, you know, use to assess the qualitative values that you just asked for. I do not. I'm going to state just my impression. I think they're very delighted. They're very happy, and they just ask for more. And by the way, each and every kid that we interact with go back home or tent or shelter with a brand new lovely book as an addition to his or her library.
Which is very important.
Yes.
I mean, you mentioned all the problems that you have in the Arab world, and I want to say 360 million people live in the Arab world. That's a huge market. And about 30% of the population in the Middle East is between the ages of 15 to 29. So these are all potential readers. Valentina, but we heard, I mean, we are dealing with a lot of issues in the Arab world, a lot of problems. So you have, for example, conflict, obviously, right now is the most stressing problem we have. We have illiteracy, we have poverty, we have censorship. And also very basic problems like transportation infrastructure that is not really there. How do you deal with these issues? What can you do as a foundation to tackle at least some of them?
Well, well, as I mentioned before, our library is a place that is open to everyone, to the public. Our services are all free. What we do is we try to have a place that is attractive for the individuals to come, whether for students, researchers, or whether children or adults. It's a place where you can call home, and we listen to the library patrons. So we ask them what do they want, what do they need, and we respond to them. So they feel that this is home that they can come to. Like, we extended our opening hours based on their feedback. We promote for them the books that most read books, most borrowed books, or the new books, so we can attract individuals that come to us. Plus, we re-established our children's library, so we have a very interactive children's library. Within 2 years, we have over 4,000 subscribers from children, and we have every year we have around 15,000 children coming to us, to our children's library. It's not a huge library, it's a small children's library, and we have a lineup from schools they come to us in the morning, and we do activities for them. So we support children that come from schools. So if the schools are unable to come to us, we support them with the transportation to come to us, because it is important that they see other areas, not just within their school or within their community, to expand their horizons. Plus, as I mentioned, we fund programs that are like mobile bus. So library, we fund that. It's for another cultural organization. We support that. We support the Family Library, which is an initiative by the Ministry of Culture, where they publish books at republish books at a lower or reprint books at a lower rate, so that they any family or any individual can buy these books at a small fee. Plus, we fund any activity that is going around the kingdom, such as if there is a play, we insist that it's a mobile play that goes around. But also, you need to attract readers through the content, and this is where we have an issue. So we started working on creative writing workshops. Plus, with the Booker Award, we're working on one for adults, one for children. We're working with the other entities. And we take, when you bring publishers to read for books, and you do book signings, and you take them not just within our library, but also you take speakers to different locations, so that you can support the reading and the discussions, not just in one location and privileged communities, but also remote areas, and all geographic areas can have the same opportunities.
Is there, I mean, because Rania mentioned it, obviously there is like 1 million Syrian refugees in Lebanon. I'm not sure about the numbers.
1.5 million Syrian refugees in Jordan, but also we have Iraqi refugees. And
exactly.
Refugees,
and you have a huge camp, Zatari, also. I mean, is there any work that you do with these?
20 refugee camps in Jordan. We have 3 for Syrians. We have plenty for Palestinian camps. Refugee camps, so we have plenty. We don't differentiate that this is a camp or not a camp. We go everywhere.
So you go, for example, with the library bus also to the camps?
It goes everywhere.
Everywhere.
And as I mentioned, we also support schools. We help establish libraries in schools, and we help community-based organizations establish libraries. We support them, and we gift all libraries, all centers, books. So we try as much as possible to promote the books.
Mm-hmm. Karam, I would like to get back to the point of the infrastructure. I mean, yes, we have all these problems that we have to deal with the conflict and the Syrian refugees, etc. But very basic as a publisher and somebody who wants to sell, yes, a bookseller who wants to sell books. We have very difficult transport infrastructure in the Arab world. How does distribution work under these circumstances? How do you deal with that?
Yeah, it's a major, it's a dilemma. It's a big issue, I believe, for all of us, the distribution. For me, it's very difficult for me, though we are, as you mentioned, we are 360 million people who speak one language. Still, you have to print like first run of 1,000 copy of one book, and you can get a stock for 3 years until you get rid of this. Sometimes some publishers, they go to print the first run for 500 copies. It is the distribution, number one. Number two, it's that reading is not one of the habits the new generation were brought up to it. I am from a generation where I used to see a book, and when I was 5, I used to read and write. Nowadays you see people, and I've been around Europe for the last couple of years, and I see young people don't read anymore as it was the case like 10 years before. They use their devices. It's not different, but the issue that we have about maybe, and I'm not exaggerating if I say that we have more than 50% of people of the Egyptian, who are 100 million people, they are illiterated people. They don't read or write. Even people who finish universities or colleges, they don't read or write properly. And I face it with the people I work with. So we have serious issues, and we need to tackle those. And I don't think it takes individual people to solve the illiteracy problem or distribution problem or things like that. So this can give you an idea, a small idea about the environment we are working in. For me, I find it very difficult to distribute my books in chain books, and I try very much. I send them press letters and point of sales and posters and samples of books to convince them to take my books, and I give them good discount. The major players, they can ask for 40 or 50% discount in order to take my books. Some of them, they take my books and put it in the warehouse because I am a competition. This is how they look at me, though I don't publish the quality of their books because I consider a lot the content. I believe books would live. Books would live for 100 years, for 200 years. Those are the kind of books I'm trying to publish, and this profession, it's a dream for me. It's not something I got from my family or I got it from my father. I quit my job. I used to have a career, decent career, and I quit and I started Kotob because that's my dream. I try my best, and the only solution for me that I have 2 branches in Maadi and 1 downtown. So now I have my books downtown because all the people say, we want the books downtown. Also, I am very aggressive to have my books in bookshops outside Cairo, in Upper Egypt, in Delta, a small bookshop in Asyut. I sent 2 copies or 3 copies. It's very important to have my books there in those areas. Those areas, they lack cinema, they lack a library, they lack lots of facilities, they lack sweet waters. So it is very important to have ourselves there, because they are all the jihadists or the fanatic people. They come from those areas where they lack any, as Rania said, it's if she could manage to save those children, it's very important. This would happen when those people learn to think their mind, to learn, to know that they can do something, they can make a difference, or their existence is important. So I'm doing my best to have my books on those governorates around Cairo, all over Egypt. And also I tried this May, I was in Abu Dhabi Book Fair, and I met a distributor, and I gave him my books, trying to have my books also in Emirates. Of course, maybe 50% of them, they were banned because they have censorship. And so I thought Egypt is like heaven, because so far I haven't any banned books. So, and I tried with Jarir in Riyadh, and I pay a lot of money to get my books released or to get a permission. But I released 5. The Jarir bookshop asked for only 1 title, said, because those are serious topics and we don't read serious topics. So it's really difficult, but this will not stop me, because especially after the revolution, and there was a revolution and 2011, but we failed to maintain it. We failed to learn how to move forward. And now I am focusing on translation more, especially in philosophy and science for young readers. And for also books that could be expensive for some people, we came up with this idea like 2 years ago. It's called the second hand, like a book flea market. Each first Friday of each month, we have this flea market where we have the books out of print, or old books, or second-hand books, or also my books, the books I publish, and they can get 3 books for the price of 2.
Rania, you wanted to say something about this.
Yes, I think there's an important idea that we just brushed over it and we didn't really discuss it, and I think it's the idea of censorship and content. I think that the worst kind of censorship in the Arab world is not the one that is enforced by the government, but it's the self-censorship. You know, when the authors or the publishers say, oh, this won't work because it might rock the boat in Saudi Arabia or the Emirat or Libya or whatever. This is the worst kind of censorship. And I think it is connected really. I mean, where is this coming from? For me, the bottom root, or the deepest root of this problem, is the school curriculum. How we're educated. I think that the curricula in the Arab world reinforces hatred towards the other, be it religion or any kind of the other, you know, the idea of the other. It reinforces discrimination between social milieus of the society. We believe that these kids or these families or citizens do not deserve or do not have the right to enjoy a good book or to enjoy quality education. So they are deprived from that. This deprivation would definitely lead to catastrophes in content and catastrophes in content and censorship. You know, the reader the reader, I have to not agree with the Karam. The reader is never the problem. Because, as I said before, the reader has just ضيع طريقه, lost the road, you know. He's reading the map in a wrong way. The problem, from my experience and personal opinion, is the teachers, the school principals, the Ministry of Education, the Ministry of Culture. They are, I don't know from which centuries are they, you know, they're coming from. I feel, I'm convinced more and more that there's a black room, a real black room, dark room, where these, you know, key players sit and plan a conspiracy against the citizens. We want socialists in the Arab world, real, true socialists that believe in equality of good education. You know, we do have public schools, we do have public libraries. In Lebanon, which we're a very small country, we have 153 public libraries. That's not the question. The question is, how are they functioning? What kind of book are the librarians promoting? I think this is the problem. The problem is not in the, you know, walls and shelves and books, okay? It's in the human body that is supervising or in charge of delivering content.
Do you think, Valentina, that maybe ebooks are a way to circumvent some of these obstacles, the censorship, for example, or, you know, that things maybe just go in one direction when it comes to content, or also maybe the distribution problem that we were talking about?
Well, we have been trying to look into ebooks for some time. You have so many platforms that you need to, if you want to look for a book, you have to look into all of these platforms. So there is not one or few platforms that you can select from. So this is.
You mean like Kotobi.com or
Exactly.
Kotob Arabia?
So a lot of platforms, and most of the content, unfortunately, is targeted towards, let's say, Saudi Arabia. So it's religious books. This is that ebooks are very important. There is a market, but having books published on ebooks, the publishers do not have trust. So because of the publishing rights or copyrights, plus it's the financial ability to publish your books online, and whoever would be downloading the books would have financial means. So if you offer them free of charge, yeah, that could be easier. But what is available now free of charge mostly is religious books. So actually, it is not supporting what we are saying. It's actually adding more problems, the ebooks. But the market is there if it's being organized and supported.
And would it be profitable as well?
Well, we need to think now is that we need people to start reading. When we were mentioning that we don't have enough readers, no, we don't have. One published book per 12,000 individuals, while here in Germany, you have one published book for every 900 individuals. So imagine the gap. You have around 20 to 30 people reading one book. In other areas in the world, you have each individual would be reading around 7 to 8 books. So there is a gap in reading. We want to promote reading, so try to offer it and not to look at the profitability at this moment. You need to have the distribution. You need to have the books available. You need people to love reading books. You need to attract them to read book, to hold a book. So you need proper content. You need it to be available everywhere. And not just one track mind like religious books, which we have plenty of. We need also other books. We need novels, we need scientific books, we need literary books, all of them. This is what I think is very important.
Did you want to add something, Rania?
Yes, regarding ebooks and technology, again, technology is in the hands of people who have money that can buy this technology. You know, again, I tell you that the system is really building walls against its own readers, you know. I mean, technology, who has access to that? It's the rich people who does. You know, all the demonstrations and the riots that is happening either in Egypt, in Beirut, in Syria, and everywhere. These people who are rioting, they are asking for change. And they are asking also in change of what they read and what is available to be read. I mean, I know many people and many publishers, I hear them saying they're much more experienced than I am in the Arab world. They think that these demonstrations and riots had affected the book business. I disagree. From my experience, it protected it in the sense that it empowered us and made us convinced more than any time that we want to publish different books, because each and every person on the streets rioting wants to see something that along the same lines of what we publish, something different, something clever, something contemporary. So I think that the demonstrations and the riots in the Arab world cannot but protect alternative work. They are fed up by the old pattern of publishing. They're fed up. Plus, change. We cannot change publishing if we continue to publish the same thing over and over, the same pattern over and over. How can change occur in publishing and in content? We need to break that pattern.
And probably also one of the big points is that something that Valentina just mentioned, this love for the book and the passion for reading is something that you have to instill in people. I mean, how do you create this desire or instill it? How do you awaken this longing for a book and to read a story? How can you do that?
It's important to focus on children at this time because the adults, they're already shaped their mind. So you need to focus on the children, and you need to have it colorful. You need to have it available. Although Rania mentioned that the technology would hinder children from reading books, but when you look at the children, most of them, they have smartphones with them. Even in underprivileged communities, smartphones are everywhere. Education is going into to having technology in schools, so you need to have the market for ebooks, but also you need to have proper or librarians to love being librarians. They don't like to be librarians. They feel whoever is working as a librarian feels that they were punished to become a librarian. Public libraries across Jordan, for example, they close at 3 p.m. when children are at school or adults are at their work. So when do you attract them to read the book or to come to libraries? Do we have connection between Ministry of Education and libraries? Critical thinking is try to avoid critical thinking. So libraries, books, they promote critical thinking. So this is why they are not nourished as supposed to be. So how do you attract children? Is that you have interactive books. Children love technology, so we have to have interactive books. You have to have colored books. You have to use music, arts, drama, all these tools, entertainment tools to attract children to come to the library, and technology. Like you need to involve technology in everything that you do.
I believe it needs a strategy in order to build this habit of reading into the children. It needs the mother herself to like reading, and the family. It comes from the family. It's not just to have a nice book or colored book or something like this. It needs a revolution. It needs the message in the media to encourage reading, in school to encourage reading. This is how I see it, that we need to spread reading.
But it's very difficult when you're a mother that never had somebody reading to you. I mean, to then go into a culture of doing it for your children is really a difficult step, no?
This is why I'm saying it needs a strategy. It's a plan for the next 10 years or something to open the public library. Public libraries are closed, or we have so many culture palaces. This is how Qussisiya, they are shut down, and they are everywhere in Egypt. Cinemas, they are shut down. Theaters, they are shut down. They don't have this reading hour in schools, in state schools. It's not there. No theaters, no playground. So it needs serious steps, serious actions from the government.
Rethinking, no, of the governments. I mean, it's really, it must, as you said, a revolution. I mean, you have to change the mindset of the people who are in power.
Yeah.
How, I mean, since we're talking about, you know, exchange and all this, how do you think you can encourage literary exchange between, you know, these countries, but in the region? How can you strengthen it? I mean, this is, I think it seems everybody has the same problems and is facing the same obstacles. If you maybe all work together, I mean, how could you strengthen that exchange?
I mean, we do on an individual basis. We do cooperate a lot. When I go to Egypt, I contact Kotob Khan or any other organization, and I say, "Listen, I want to come and read in your bookstore, you know, or do an activity." We do that on an individual basis. This is done, I can assure you. But again, I say, everything that is done on an individual basis, stay on a very micro level. Only when the government wakes up from the coma and they say, okay, guys, we're going to pull everything together and start planning, really, then things start happening at a macro level and you would really recognize change. Now, yes, there is change. I mean, and I'm not undermining the efforts of the individual. I work as an individual all the time. I'm not undermining that, but still it's at a very micro level. We need to see macro. The government, I don't know, the government seem to be really on a different planet because they do fund certain things, but what they fund turns out to be a waste of resources, you know. For example, awards, okay? Can we talk for a few minutes about awards? Each government now spends millions of dollars and dirhams and euros, you know, funding awards in the Arab world, and the readers are completely unaware of them. You know, it's only the literary circle who is aware of these awards, you know. Other than, in my opinion, most of them do not have any literary value. It's just money. We need this money to be really subsidizing books to distribute to the readers, like a book charity, like they do in Sweden, like they do in UK with the Book Start, or Sweden, I don't know what's the name of the title of the charity, or the UK, or any country. They need to be buying books from the publishers and delivering them to the readers, not awards of millions of dollars, money, resources wasted.
Valentina, I have the feeling that you and your foundation, I mean, you do work also with the government, maybe more closely than the small independent publishers. What is your experience when it comes to trying to open their mind to change and revolution in the cultural sector?
We all have the same problems. Even if we have, we support in funding, it's still the same mentality. So it's better sometimes to try to work on the general public, not through schools or through ministries. You were mentioning how would the government buy books, but still, if the government is buying books, they would be buying books according to what they want, and censorship will increase. But there are some initiatives, like in Jordan, there is I mentioned the family library, where the ministry would reprint books and sell them for a very minimal fee, so that families can start their own library. This is the aim of it, to start their own library in the house. If you want to work with the government, you need to have patience, and you need to have not to think that it can happen in a year or two. You need to think of long-term investment if you want to have any impact. But that does not mean that you shouldn't work with the government. But be strong. That's
Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Rania. Thank you, Valentina. Thank you, Karam. It was fantastic. What I take with me from this panel is lots of women power, lots of hope and positive, hopefully, future for the Arab book market and in general for the Arab world. I think if magic is possible, we saw that today. It will all be good. Thank you so much for being with us, and hope to see you again soon.